Let's solve x, y, and z using Gaussian elimination. So what we want to take note of before we start is that we will use the sequence of R3 minus R1, R2 minus R1, and R3 minus R2. Once you could remember this sequence here, R3, R1, R2, R1, and R3, R2, you'll basically get through. Alright, that's all you really need to know. The goal here is to get zeros for the first, for this corner here of the matrix. Okay, we want a 0 here, and a 0 here. That's the goal. So to accomplish that, we will take away R3 from R1, and we will put a scalar in front of each row accordingly, so we could get 0. Alright, and I see people do it all types of ways, and this is the way my teacher, Mr. Mark from my university, showed me, and I found this to be the most simple way. So let's go. We will say that 4, alright, we want to get rid of 4, right? So to get rid of this 4, we have to say 4 minus 4 to give us 0. So we're saying row 3, right? Row 1, row 2. So we put our scalar in front of row 1, and we'll say, let's multiply the whole of row 1 by 4. So 4, right? 1 by 4 will be 4. So 4 minus 4 will be 0. And then we continue though, and we say 3, so it'll be 3 minus 2 by 4 will give us negative 5. So 2 by 4 is 8, and 3 minus 8 will be negative 5, right? And we continue like that. Minus 2 minus 1 by 4 will be 2, and 5 minus 4 by 4 will be minus 11. Alright, the next one we want to get rid of, so we fill out this row. We can leave row 1 as it is, and we're now tackling row 2. So this will be row 2 minus 2R1. So you want to get rid of this 2 here. We have our 1 here, and we want to multiply this 1 by 2. So 1 by 2 is 2. 2 minus 2 will be 0. That's how we get the 0 on this side. Alright. Now don't get confused with this one, because I know the way that we operate in kind of strange, and I'll recommend that when you're doing it, you just write out the row that you're dealing with, and you probably block off the rows that you're not using. So for example, this is R2, R1. Let's block off R3. Just so we don't ever use it by mistake. And when we're writing it over here, we're really writing over this row first here in the middle. We're writing over R2. Alright, so minus 1 minus 2 by 2 will give us minus 5, and 3 minus 1 by 2 will give us 5, and 3 minus 4 by 2 will give us minus 5. So we complete the second row, and now we're moving on to this one here, R3, R2. So for R3, R2, we're taking away R3, and R2. And we could say that, well, 0 minus 0 is 0. Minus 5 minus 5 will be equal to minus 5 plus 5, which will be equal to 0. So for the last one, we have it easy. So we get the 0, and we say, so we're not using R1 here. Let's just block it off for now. And we say that 2 minus 5 will be minus 3. And minus 11 minus minus 5 will be minus 11 plus 5, which will be minus 6. Okay, and now as we solve and we get these three to be zeros, now it's easy to just solve the equation, right? So we could say that x minus 3x3 is equal to minus 6. Okay, minus 3x3 is equal to minus 6. So x3 will be equal to minus 6 and minus 3, which will be 2. So now we have x3. And we could come to the second equation, and we could say that minus 5x2 plus 5x3, and we know that x3 is 2, so let's substitute x3 for 2, equal minus 5. So minus 5x2 plus 10 equal minus 5. So minus 5x2 equal minus 5 minus 10. Yeah. So x2 will be equal to minus 15 on minus 5, which will be 3. Alright, and let's find for x1. So we have x1 plus 2x2 minus x3 is equal to 4. So we know x2 and we know x3. x3 is 2, x2 is 3. So x1 plus 6 minus 2 equal 4, x1 plus 4 equal 4, yeah. x1 is equal to 4 minus 4, x1 is equal to 0. Just making sure it's all correct. To divide, we get so x1 is 0, x2 is 3, and x3 is 2. And this should be a very I mean, this is the easiest way to do it, and I really understand that Gaussian could be, some people kind of do like the method, but to tell you the truth, it's not really that bad, you know. Once you remember these things here and you know that you're solving for these three, it's actually very useful, and it could actually be shorter in certain situations, especially if we already had a 0, maybe somewhere like here in the original one. Maybe this 3 was a 0, maybe this one was a 0 too. We could easily just solve for it in 2 steps, but I could show you that in our next video. But for now, just remember R3, R1, R2, R1, R3, R2, and you won't have any problems. Right? Just write out each one when you're doing it. So you say, like for the first one, you say 4 minus 1 by 4. You know, you keep keeping track of it now. And you also, you know, like what I was saying for the first one, when you say R3, R1, we could just block off R2 here. Right? And we know we're only dealing with these 2 rows, so we can never make a mistake. And when we're writing it, like we said, we was writing it over here, we could say that, let's just start with the middle column 2, then we go on to minus 1, then we solve for 3, then we get 3 here, and then we could just rewrite the whole row on top of it. And you know, so that seems to work very well too. Like you just focus on writing the row that you're working on first. You know, you write that one first, and here for here, sorry, we write this one first, and then here we write this one first, and then here we write this one first, before we put in the others. Just little tips to not make errors. And I hope you all understand what I'm really trying to say. And I really believe that, I know I see people adding and doing all kind of stuff to try and solve it, but really and truly, this method seemed to be very solid. You know, I had a teacher teach me at that time too, and they did it differently as well. Like they tackle different rules. But I think once you keep this, it should be good because you just remember you're just taking away the third row and the second row by the first row. And then the last step is just the third row by the second row minus the second row. And you will have it done. And you could get those free marks in exams because questions like these is free marks. They really ask me. It shouldn't really have any reason why you can't solve something like this now. Not to really be talking down on anybody or anything, but I just find that for something so kind of straightforward, once you get the hang of it, you'll see how you should really get full grades in a question like this. So kind of rambling on now, and but hope this video was useful, and you guys all the best.